Hey class, welcome to week 6. We have another long lecture this week, so settle in, get ready. I advise that you do your reading before you come and watch this video. So if you haven't done it, please pause and do your reading because I'm going to guide you through some of the important parts of the reading, but you really need to have an understanding, or at least have skimmed it first. So, we're going to talk about a lot of theory today that will give you a good baseline for Project 2 because you're doing a rhetorical analysis of a film trailer. Well, in the humanities, like we've said, theory is really important. Responding to other scholars is really important, and that's what we need to learn to do for this project. So we're going to start with our so we read It's Just a Movie last week. You can use that in your paper. We're also going to talk about Carmen Meyer and Charlotte Jensen. They have 2 papers that are really important to talk about. So, yeah, like I said, please do your reading first. I do not expect you to understand everything. Do your best. Take it slow. Find places where you can skim. Look up words you don't understand. Try to piece together what it's about, and I will help you. Okay, so the first thing that I want us to look at are film terms, because we need to know what the right language to use to describe what we're seeing on the screen. So I have this for you. I recommend you look through this. I think the most important thing to know from these, let me see if I can find it. So really important are these terms diegetic and non-diegetic. You want to know the difference between them. So diegetic sound, diegetic visuals, diegetic anything is anything that is part of the story of the film or the film trailer. So it's something the characters would hear. It's something the characters would see. It's in the world of the story. Non-diegetic sound includes sound that the characters do not hear, so it's not part of the world of the story. So for instance, when there's like an action scene in a film and you're hearing this like intense music, that's non-diegetic sound. The characters aren't listening to that music. The music is not part of their world. It's heightening our emotions. It's for us, helping us to create meaning and understand what we're supposed to feel in that scene. So that's non-diegetic. Just think diegetic belongs to the world of the story and the characters. Non-diegetic does not. So an example would be a non-diegetic voiceover narrator. So whenever you see in a film trailer the narrator going, "coming this summer," that's obviously non-diegetic because the characters are not hearing that. That's for us. It's non-diegetic. So those are the 2 I want you to pay the most attention to. I have this film. It is a video that I really want you to watch. I'll show you a little bit of it. It's not long, but I recommend that you watch it. It'll be on the slides. Let me show you. It's a minute long, and it just, okay, it's not normal. This is some random ad.
Perfect
I don't
moment
want to look
in
at
the
this.
day when the
What's
light
happening? Okay.
You have one person facing off with
So
the
this
other
is
person.
just, it's going to take you through different kinds of shots and movements and explain why they're chosen, what they're good for. So close up, long shot. It's a really interesting video. It's 6 minutes long, but you're going to like it, and it has some really helpful stuff at the end. So please, if you want to pause now and watch it, that's a good idea. If you want to watch it later, also a good idea. But either way, go watch it. Let's see. Okay, so after you have done your reading, after you have watched that video on film terms, feel like you have a better understanding of that, we're going to talk about Carmen Meyer's article. It's called Visual Evaluation in Film Trailers. And let me open up these trailers because we are going to talk about them. If there is an ad, okay, I don't think there's an ad. Thank you. So we're gonna talk, when we talk about Meyer's article, we're gonna talk about the Made in Manhattan trailer, and we're also going to talk, I think I got the Freaky Friday one. Let me see. Let me open that up. Hyperlink, open hyperlink. Okay. Okay, and yeah, I think that's the Freaky Friday trailer. But we need to look at Carmen Meyer's article. Let's consider the rhetorical situation of this article. Firstly, it's in a journal called Visual Communication. So it's all about any sort of visual communication that you would want to talk about. That's what this article is. It's for scholars. Another thing that you should look at is the title of the article, Visual Evaluation in Film Trailers. Now, this one doesn't really have a, it's not really a creative title like you usually see in the humanities, which is interesting. It's by Carmen Daniela Meyer. So visual evaluation in film trailers. Well, I think reading the abstract's a good idea. It tells you what this is about. This article even has key words. And evaluation here does not mean evaluation in the way you think it does. Like, I'm going to evaluate your paper. Here's your evaluation. You got an A+. It's not that kind of evaluation. For Carmen Meyer here, evaluation simply means meaning. Like, what are we supposed to take away from this? How does this help us to visually evaluate, to make meaning, to understand film trailers? How does that work? So in her introduction, she talks about how film trailers are multimodal text. Multimodal text means that there are multiple modes of communication. So when you're reading a story, that's one mode of communication. It's the written text. When you look at a painting, that's one mode of communication. It's just visual. Well, film trailers have there's multiple modes. And semiotic is like meaning. So multiple modes, they're combined, and there are parts of text created for other purposes. So you'll notice that, like I said last week, the scenes are out of order. Sometimes they make you think one thing when that's not how it actually goes in the film trailer. You know, if you've ever watched like a reality television show and they keep showing that same scene over and over, it's like, the drama, and then it happens and you're like, that was not dramatic at all. It's kind of like that, but not really. So like I said last week, something that's really important to note with film trailers is that they're promotional. They're promoting the film. Every choice that the producer makes or the editor makes for a film trailer is all funneling it toward the purpose, its promotional purpose, so getting people to buy tickets. So there's not a lot of study on film trailers. There's a lot more now, but film trailers are a relatively new type of text. So before the internet, before YouTube and commercials, it was film posters. That was the big way that films advertised themselves. So if you went to the movies, you would see those film posters, and that would want you to maybe get you to want to see that film. Now, the film trailer is really important. There's even awards for film trailers now. There are multiple film trailers. There's websites devoted to the film trailers. So it's become more important, which means that it's important to study them. So, like it says here, film trailers have rarely been the object of academic research. And now she's going to give her reader the context. What is the point and purpose of her article? This article attempts to address selected aspects of this complex promotional genre, namely the visual evaluative devices and their interplay with evaluative strategies expressed through other semiotic modes when generating persuasive messages. That sounds much more complicated than it actually is. Essentially, she is exploring how do the visual elements of film trailers work with the other elements, so sound, text, in order to create meaning, in order to persuade the audience. And that's really what we're looking at. And here are the two questions that she addresses. How is evaluation expressed visually in comedy film trailers? So notice that she is narrowing her subject to comedy film trailers. And secondly, how is the evaluative stance strengthened, contrasted, or subverted when several semiotic modes interact in these trailers? So basically what she's saying is, how does the audience's understanding of the message of the trailer, the narrative of the trailer, how is it strengthened or contrasted or subverted when you have sound working with visuals, working with etc. So one thing that I think is interesting, and this is related to music videos, I did this with my class last year. I wish I could do it with you this year, but I'll tell you about it so you can do it. So I had my students listen and read the words to Childish Gambino's Sweatpants song. You should listen to it. It bops or slaps, whatever you guys say these days. It's a great song. Listen to it and think, what is he trying to say? Then I had my students watch the music video and see if that changed what they thought he was trying to say. And spoiler alert, it does. It kind of subverts, the visuals subvert the meaning of the lyrics. It gives you a different perspective. So it's really important with all sorts of multimodal texts. How do the different modes, visual, oral, textual, how do they work together to create a message? Separately, they might tell you one thing, but together they might be creating a different message. So if you want to pause and listen to Sweatpants by Childish Gambino, think about what it means, then go watch the music video and see if that changes what you think it means. Go ahead. I would love to hear what you think, so just send me a message or an email, let me know. It's my favorite thing I did last year, and I just can't, it's not as fun if you're not with me, so maybe next semester, if we ever get to leave pandemic life. Okay, that got dark. So the article's in sections. Now, communications is technically in the social sciences, but this article kind of is more in the humanities space. It kind of balances. It's more humanities focused. So what's interesting is she does use data. So she talks about the data and the parameters. So it's a lot like the methods section of an article in the sciences, whether that's natural or social sciences. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this, but here's important. So here's how she's breaking down how she's analyzing these trailers. So things she's looking at is the source. Where does the visual material come from? Is it from the film itself, or was it created for the film trailer? So when you see, I think I talked about this last week with the Social Network trailer. At the beginning, you see all those little clips of Facebook posts. That is from the film trailer. It's not from the film. It was created to go into the film trailer. Then we have location, which is either the shot, the whole shot, or inside the shot, what's happening in the scene that you can see, or between shots, what's happening between each shot, whether that's a fade to black transition, etc. Then form. Form is inherent, so part of what you're seeing. Contextual means outside of that, it's context. Then topic, we talked about diegetic and non-diegetic. So diegetic would be, you're talking about the characters. So I would say Mark Zuckerberg, or you're talking about the story. Whereas non-diegetic, you'll see things like the film company, or if it said, if it said Jesse Eisenberg, he's the actor, that is non-diegetic, or the name of the director. We're also going to talk a little bit about ethos, pathos, and logos this week related to film trailers. So I don't think that's in my PowerPoint, but we'll get to it. Okay, so let's go down here. It's talking about multimodality. I kind of explained that to you. We talked about evaluation. This part is really complicated, but essentially, evaluation is meaning. How do we make meaning? How does this complex text transmit a meaning to us as the audience? Theoretical interrelations, okay, analysis. So essentially what she does is she is going to look at various film trailers and talk about different techniques that are used in these comedy trailers to transmit a sort of meaning. Like, how do they create meaning? So here's what she's going to talk about. She's going to talk about close-up shots. See why I had you do the film term stuff? She's going to talk about camera movement. She's going to talk about captions. She'll talk about transitions and special effects, visual repetitions and consecutive shots, clusters of evaluative devices, and I think that's it. Yeah, those are it. So we're going to start with, I'm going to talk quickly through each of them, and then we're going to look at trailers and see some examples. So close-up shots. In general, comedy film trailers contain a lot of close-up shots that they're either diegetic, so part of the story, or non-diegetic. They can be accompanied with dialogue, or by characters' comments, or comments by the non-diegetic narrator. You'll notice in a lot of comedy trailers, there's that narrator, like, I'm trying to think of something like, Sarah Ruiz always thought she was on top of the world. Whatever. I'm not good at that. So typically, in the diegetic context, so the world of the story, a close-up has it's a strong evaluative device. It's a strong technique to create meaning. Well, what meaning does it mean? That was kind of weird. What does it mean? Typically, when the camera is close into a character, it, one, tells you that that character is important. It tells you something about them. They're important to the story. It also makes the shot more subjective, so gives you a sense of things from the character's perspective. You see the emotions of the character when you have a close-up. So let's see. I want to look. Well, we're going to talk about that later. So in Made in Manhattan, which we are going to watch the trailer for, there's a series of close-ups when the characters meet each other for the first time. So when Jennifer Lopez meets the handsome guy, I don't know his name, there's a bunch of close-ups. And what that's telling you is that this scene, this interaction, is important. So when there's a close-up on something, you know, oh, I need to pay attention to that. Or, oh, that person's important. Or, oh, that might be a clue to something. Now, when you combine close-ups with other devices, so in the Bend It Like Beckham film trailer, the main character's friend says, "You're quite pretty, you'd know. If only you'd do something with your hair and put a bit of makeup on, you'd look all right." And this is happening off screen, but you're seeing the close-up of the main character. And that's helping you to, the close-up of the main character's boyfriend, who seems to be looking admiringly at someone. So that, like, it's giving you the meaning of enhancing that interaction. That's important. What is that telling us about the character? Camera movement is also important, and camera movement usually intensifies the meaning that you get from verbal or visual information. So typically, when a character is speaking or reacting, the camera will move forward, and that's intensifying whatever you're seeing. So if it's like, and the camera zooms in when they're gasping, that's intensifying that feeling. So in Freaky Friday, which we're going to watch, the two main characters switch bodies due to the effect of some magical fortune cookies. When one of the characters is confronted for the first time with her new body, the evaluative devices of her words and gestures and their accompanying music are intensified by the camera movement. So the way the camera moves intensifies how we're supposed to understand the character reacting to this situation. So there's also captions. I'm not sure if either of the trailers we're looking at have captions. I think they might. So usually words that are uttered by the voiceover narrative, a lot of the times you'll see it written on the screen in caption. So that is enhancing what you're hearing. It's intensifying it. So it's extra important. So in Bridget Jones's, in Something's Gotta Give, which we're not going to watch that trailer because it's kind of weird, you'll see this holiday season, the ultimate bachelor is about to encounter something new. So the repetition of that and the caps is like, this is important, these are important. So you'll see like actors' names written in caps, the name of the film written in caps. It's like intensifying it. You know, if you're texting someone and you text in all caps, like, the new Twilight book is out and it's in all caps, that means you're excited about it, you're intensifying it. Midnight Sun came out today when I'm filming. You can see when it is. It's August 4th, which means I get to meet you guys next week. So exciting. Okay. Transitions and special effects, they also intensify things. We're going to see that in the Freaky Friday trailer. Visual repetition. So in the Bend It Like Beckham trailer, there are like a bunch of shots of girls like kicking soccer balls. They call it football here because she's from Europe, which introduces you to the topic. A bunch of kicking the soccer balls over and over. You're like, oh, soccer movie. Clusters of evaluative devices. That's when things are working together. So in What Women Want, the evaluative device of the close-up on the main character squeezed between the heads of two women is verbally enhanced by the accompanying words of the non-diegetic voiceover narrator, a man's man. So we're seeing that like he is very popular with the ladies on that. So here, sometimes they like, it is enhancing this. So with Made in Manhattan, the non-diegetic voiceover narrator says, "The girl that was invisible." And this is followed by dialogue in which the repetition of the negative comparator isn't reinforces the stance made by the voice. So, who's this? I'll tell you who she isn't. She isn't like anyone I've ever met before, and she isn't a phony. So by using isn't instead of is, that's enhancing this idea, intensifying this idea that she is in the negative, that she is invisible. Let's see. What do I want to talk about? Those are the main things. Let's watch these trailers, and I will kind of start and stop as we watch them and explain some things that I'm noticing. Now, you should be looking at whatever trailer you choose or chose. I don't know if you already chose it or not. I'm not sure. Present day me in week 6 does know, but current me from August 4th does not know. So let's watch the Made in Manhattan trailer. And I'm going to pause. I'm going to talk you through it. It's going to be kind of stilted, and we're going to notice a few things.
Friday morning, people. Let's go. Friday morning, people.
At Manhattan's Berry.
So notice there was that shot of the building. And you'll notice in a lot of film trailers, romantic comedies tend to, one, take place in New York City for whatever reason. They always like open with like a panning shot of New York City. We don't really have that here, but it's showing us this building. He's about to talk about a hotel. That's helping me connect. Oh, the words and the visuals are setting up the setting.
Where the rich and famous can.
Okay, we all know who that guy is. It says rich and famous, and then we get a close-up of this guy. So it doesn't say, hey, this guy is rich and famous, but we know, based on how the different modes are interacting, that this guy is famous. We also know he's important. Why? Because it's a close-up on him in this
Mr. Marshall, is it true you're running for senator? Mr. Marshall, is it true you're running for senator?
Then we have that line of dialogue. Mr. Marshall, is it true you're running for senator? That's telling us two things. One, his name, and two, kind of it's introducing us to that character, giving us a hint of what the conflict is. It was Marissa Venturas. It opens the door. You see Jennifer Lopez. That tells you, oh, that character is, she's playing that character.
Excuse me, that needs pressing.
So we have the narrator saying it's her job to go unnoticed, right? Or something about being invisible. Oh, I know. I have so many files. And then we get the dialogue that's enhancing that by talking about how they should be invisible. And then we see a character talking to her as if she isn't a real person.
Smile. Maria, what do you think? Filter coat, Ralph Lauren skirt, she's a maid.
Ralph Lauren skirt, she's a maid.
So you see the off-screen diegetic dialogue is saying, a barrister maid wears a smile.